on to Kirsten and Shaq, and Shaq got a look into Kirsten's apartment, and it was empty, just like her personality, empty. It's like opening up a box and it ain't nothing in it. It matches perfectly. It matches perfectly. Let me tell you how so much of Kirsten's house, her apartment, her whatever, matches her perfectly. First of all, that apartment is empty, like her conversations are empty. Empty, nothing to them. Can't find nothing in there. I mean, when you walk, you know how you walk into a person's house and then the house can become a conversation piece. You could walk into your person's house. Oh my God, your house is so lovely. You may look on the wall, see a picture. Oh, this picture is so nice. You know, where did you get it from? What was the inspiration? Maybe it's pictures with friends. Hey, where were you guys on this trip? Did you guys go somewhere? Were you? Tell me about it. You may see an interesting piece of furniture and you'll be like, oh my God, this is a beautiful sofa. This is a beautiful table. Where did you get it from? You may see a piece of artwork. You may say, did you make this? Did you buy this? Something to talk about. You walk into Kirsten's apartment and it's like her, nothing to talk about. A zero conversation, zero personality, zero things to talk about. Kirsten has told us, you know how people say they like their men like their coffee with a little cream in it. People say that, or they like their women like a coffee with some cream in it, or they like their coffee like their women. I like it all black, whatever. That's the saying. So Kirsten's saying is, I like my men like I like my apartment, empty or with nothing in it and no conversation, because she does not want Shaq to talk intellectually like Martin Luther King, and she doesn't want him to tell jokes. So basically, she wants him to be silent and empty like that apartment. Now y'all understand it. Now you have a bigger understanding. But then you go to this closet, y'all. You go to this closet and guess what you see? A chaos. Isn't that interesting? The whole apartment is so tidy, hardly nothing in it. But when you go to her apartment, it's a bit chaotic. Now, I didn't think her closet was like, I've seen some really junky closets in my time being an apartment owner. You've seen some people's closets. But Kirsten's closet looks like the majority of the time it's even junkier than that. But she straightened it up just a little bit because she doesn't have really any organization systems. That's why I know she straightened up those shoes. But ordinarily, them shoes is probably all over her floor because she doesn't really have any shoe racks. She doesn't have any organization. So this is why I know her closet is normally chaotic. Now, roll with me, people. Roll with me. Pristine, empty house, apartment, chaotic closet. That's what Kirsten is. Kirsten on the outside is pristine and clean, just like her apartment. But on the inside, she's chaotic. I told you guys, okay, that this pickiness of Kirsten was a cover-up for her insides. It's how she doesn't let you get close to her insides. She talks about her guard being up. She talks about how she doesn't let people on the inside. This is a metaphor. Her apartment is a metaphor for her life. On the outside, she's pristine, but on the inside, she's chaotic. She's chaotic. Just like when she says, I have a master's and a bachelor's, chaotic, because the order is a bachelor's and master's. She's chaotic. Just like she has a master's and a bachelor's in some other field, like health field, science, or something else she told us, but she's over here selling real estate. Chaotic. What's that? What's going on, Kirsten? What you doing with your life? Chaotic. I'm not saying nothing's wrong with being a real estate agent, but you go to school for a bachelor's and a master's in a field, and now you're doing real estate. A chaotic. You see this dry woman, this dry personality, this dry sense of humor, this dry conversation. But remember, we saw Kirsten, she was in the club at the bachelor party getting flipped up in the air by the stripper. Remember that about Kirsten? She looked fun back then, right? Getting flipped up in the air. They say she's a sorority girl. Sorority people like to party and have a good time. When she's on the dance floor, she likes to party and have a good time. She talks about how she wants 6 inches. She talks about, well, she's a beast in the bedroom. She needs a man who can handle it, 6 inches. Where is all that, Kirsten? I'm telling you, people, it is not about Shaq. It just like I told you, Airris's not attraction to Jasmin wasn't about a big booty. Her non-attraction to Shaq has nothing to do with his baldness. Come on, people. His baldness? Absolutely not. Kirsten is the same thing of Airris. They don't like people getting close to them. This is why I tell you they don't make a good match. I know people out here trying to talk about Kirsten and Airris should be together. No, they shouldn't, because they both have the same problem and they both are looking for someone different. Okay, they're looking for someone different to give them what they don't need. Airris needs a whole lot of attention because he doesn't want to give any attention. Kirsten, with all her pickiness, is a cry for attention. Keep coming after me. Keep trying to get me. Keep trying to chase me, because it's what she wants from a man. I don't believe that Airris would chase a Kirsten. He may sleep with Kirsten, but he wouldn't chase her heart, because he needs a woman to chase his heart, just like Kirsten needs a man to chase her heart. Now, here's what I'm going to say about Kirsten and Shaq. I'm about to flip, y'all. I'm about to flip. I believe that Kirsten and Shaq are going to make it. I believe they're going to make it. And the reason they're going to make it is because who Shaq is. Shaq is going to pursue a Kirsten to no end, because Kirsten is Shaq's dream girl. Minus this personality thing, everything else about a Kirsten, I think he's really attracted to it. I think he's going to pursue her. I think he's not going to give up on her. I don't know if she's going to say yes on the decision day. She may not. She may try to give it more time. But I think that they are going to, if she says no, I think they're going to date after the show. And I think he's going to wear her down, because I think when it comes to Kirsten, she does need a lot of time. She needs a lot of time. And once she gets back out in the real world, I think there are going to a lot of be people who are going to talk about Shaq, and they're going to be telling her, you are a fool not to be overlooking this bald head. He's not like he's a dog ugly man. He's not some dog ugly man. He's educated. He's smart. He looks like he makes a good money. He's riding around in a Mercedes Benz, and all this over not a bald head. She sat on this show today and said there was zero chemistry. I believe her. I believe there is zero chemistry at this time, because she is still got Shaq sitting in the living room of that empty apartment. She has not let Shaq into that chaotic apartment because she doesn't want him to see what's in that chaotic apartment. I'm telling you, it's a metaphor for her life. Her life is chaotic, and she doesn't want him to see it yet because she's afraid he'll be turned off by it. If he really digs deep into her world, he may be turned off by it. For all we know, a Kirsten's whole finances is jacked up. She talk about she ain't got no furniture because the chain supply was messed up since COVID. Girl, there's other options. There's other options. I don't know what's going on with Kirsten, but I'm telling you, she is hiding stuff. And pickiness is a way that you hide things. You hide things by being picky, having a bunch of rules for people, a bunch of hoops they got to jump through, a bunch of obstacles. So that way you put a lot of walls in between you and them. So it's so much distance before you can get to their heart. It's the same thing Airris is doing over there to Jasmin. It's the same exact thing. But this apartment of Kirsten's is a metaphor of this whole relationship, and it's a metaphor for her life. Empty and pristine on the outside, and chaotic, act like that closet is on the inside. And I'm surprised she even showed him that closet. I'm really surprised. Another reason why I think these two can make, Kirsten isn't really doing what these other couples are doing. Kirsten is not trying to run away. She's not trying to do a Dom trying to leave, not live in the apartment. She's not trying to do a Gina or a Clint. She's not fully cooperating with Shaq, but she's also not running in the opposite direction. You notice that. And just like Shaq said, when we're in the bed, she all hugged up on me, all laying on me, but yet there's no chemistry. Kirsten is trying to present herself as the model home, like she sells real estate, the model home. Maybe that's why she went into real estate, because she can present an image. She knows how to present an image, and you do need to do that to be a successful real estate agent. But she's presenting an image, but on the inside, that's not who Kirsten is. None of what she shows us matches things she said about herself. Like I told you, she needs 6 inches. What for? She don't even have no conversation. She want to have conversationless sex. I said that Airris over there wants to have emotionless sex. Kirsten want to have a no conversation sex. And just like she complains about Shaq being an open book, she talks about it like it's a bad thing. He's an open book. Because she's not an open book. See, people don't want you to be something that they're not ready to be. Just like Airris is all mentally tied up in his head because so-called Jasmin falls in love easily, and she's ready to give her art easily, it makes him nervous and uncomfortable, and he doesn't like it because he is none of it himself. This is why he doesn't like it about Jasmin, that she falls in love easily, and it makes him nervous, and he got to go for runs because he's got to process the information, and it makes him feel guilty. This is the same thing going on with Kirsten. She doesn't like the fact that he can be funny, he can be geeky, he can be outgoing, he can have a lot of conversation, he can give MLK speeches, because she can do none of that. And his adaptability, his variety, his all of this stuff makes her uncomfortable. So instead of her admitting that she's none of that, she wants to tone his down. She wants to tell him, I stop giving speeches and stop telling jokes because I can't do it and I don't feel comfortable doing it. And that's why she don't want to hear it, because she's uncomfortable. Just like Airris wants Jasmin to tone down or fall in love because he can't fall in love. Airris and Kirsten should not be together, because actually they're too much alike, and they're too much alike in the wrong categories. They're too much alike in the wrong categories, not the good categories. But Shaq said it. Shaq says, I don't just talk to be talking. I ask her questions. I invite her into the conversations. But every time he invites her to the conversations to say something, she flips it back on him. I believe it. This isn't a situation that Shaq just talks and doesn't let Kirsten talk. I don't believe that. I believe that he leaves an open door. He leaves enough space for her to talk, but she's not comfortable doing it, doesn't want to do it because she doesn't want to reveal things. And so she flips it back on him. She's in the living room of the pristine apartment, and she's not ready to fully invite him into the closet. And it's not his fault. It's nothing about him. It is her. It is her. In this episode, I really just wanted to shake Kirsten because I really want her to come out of this. But I believe, you guys, I think they're going to make it, actually. I don't know if we'll see it on screen. I don't know if she's going to get there in these 8 weeks. I don't think so, because I think she's really, really slow. And just like Airris, I think she has a lot of years of trauma that has made her this way. She tried to tell us that she was a daddy's girl and that, but the daddy didn't come to the wedding. I don't believe it. I think a lot of this is because of that daddy. Just like Airris, watch my videos. He also is in love with a man, of an image of a man, a picture, an obituary, and a necklace. I think the same thing with Kirsten. They both are going through a daddy issues. This is why they do not make a good couple. I know people dropped down in my comments and said that. I don't agree with it, because I think they have trauma in the same areas, and I think their trauma in those same areas would not be for the good. Unlike over there with Chris and Nicole, how their trauma bonding is actually, I think, enhancing their relationship. The trauma that Kirsten and Airris have surrounding their father's absentee or death would not actually help them in the relationship. It would actually be a big problem. They need people to balance them out. I actually think a Shaq is good for Kirsten because I think he's disciplined. And I think he's not going to give up on her. I think he's going to try really, really hard, because I do believe that Kirsten, absent of these and no chemistry stuff, is his dream girl physically. And I believe that physical part is very, very important to Shaq. I think it's very, very important. The fraternity, sorority connection, I think, is important to him. I think the bachelor's and the master's degree, the level of education, is important to him. And I think I think Jasmin went to college too. I'm not for sure. And I know she has the beauty queen pedigree, but I think that Shaq more respects the academic pedigree. And Jasmin, even though she might have gone to college and has a degree, I don't think she has the academic pedigree and accomplishments that Kirsten has. And I think that's big for Shaq. There's a lot of things about Kirsten that are big for Shaq. I think the connection with the sorority fraternity is huge with him. I think the looks are huge with him. I think Jasmin with the teeth on the bottom, I don't think that would sit well with Shaq. I think the educational thing is huge with him. So I don't think that this is a wife swap or a husband swap situation between these two couples. I don't think so at all. So we're going to start talking about now Dom and Mack. And people, you remember at the beginning of the season, I was like, I don't see nothing old soul about Dominic. She ain't old. She current and new. That was my whole thing. Maybe like the first 3 or 4 episodes or whatever. And then last week, I started getting a glimpse of this old woman that we've been hearing about, this old soul. And let me tell you right now, I am fully agreeing with her tagline that she's an old soul. But I'm going to go a step further. She's not just an old soul. You know what? And I don't want to talk about older people because I'm older people. You see all these gray hairs. So old people, don't get offended. Don't get offended because that doesn't mean you one of these old people. But let me tell you one of the stereotypes, many of the stereotypes of old people. And Dom has a lot of them. First of all, they're grumpy. They're cynical. They're set in their ways and they're impatient. And you know what? Dom is all those things. She's grumpy. She's cynical. She's set in her ways and she's impatient. She's all of those things. And you know who I blame? I blame the mama. I blame that mama for trying to be a best friends with her daughter her whole life. And now Dom over here got all these old ways. She's jaded in life. She views the life like a 45-year-old woman. She couldn't have had all these experiences to have these sort of views and viewpoints that she has. She hasn't experienced this much. She's only 25 years old. Where does she get this from? You know where she gets it from? Her mama. Just like her mama filled out that application, her mama has probably shared all her relationship stories with Dom. She has probably been a Dom's best friend. And since Dom was a young age, her mama talked to her like she was her best girlfriend, telling her all the stories of her relationships with men, what her husband probably was doing to her or her husbands or whatever else case may be. Because Dom is too young to be as grumpy as she is, to be as cynical as she is, to be as set in her ways as she is, and to be as impatient as she is. She is an old soul. She is like a 45-year-old woman. And like I said, 45 ain't old, but when you 25 and you acting 45, you are old. She old. She's old in her mindset. Now, when we saw her taking all those shots and everything, we thought, okay, yes, she's young. She's bar hopping. She's doing young people stuff. But now that I actually see her, when I see her talking, the way I see her moving, and I'm like, you know what? She is like an old woman. One of the reasons why I know she's an old woman, because there's a few things that she peeped out about Mack that only an old woman would figure out. Just like me. Y'all be telling me sometimes, how I have great insight because I'm old. Because I'm older. Age gives you wisdom. Age, you see a lot more things. And so it's not natural. It's because I'm older. And that's Dom. Dom has peeped out this lie about Mack. And she won't let it go. Dom has sniffed out the fact that Mack is a liar. I've been telling you guys since day one that Mack is a liar. Mack is a liar. Now, here's the problem with Mack right now. If Mack would just come clean, if he would just come clean, it really could straighten up a lot of things with Dom. Because right now, Dom doesn't trust Mack one bit because she's saying exactly what I said at the beginning. His stories don't add up. And what she is her red bells are going off. So now she's digging in. She's finding everything. I'm telling you, she's like an old woman. She is digging deep, finding every little thing to complain about and talk about because her alarms and bells and whistles have gone off. But there's another part of Dom that's more than that. And I think she is just a complainer. I do believe that. I think she's spoiled brat and she likes things her way. She really is the worst combination. She's a spoiled brat and acts young and naive. But she also is like an old woman, a grumpy, a cynical, and stuck in her ways. It's a horrible combination. A young person with a old mind. When Dom yelled, when she said she was over it and she was going to go back to her apartment and take a bath, I was like, there you go. Take a bath. What, with some Epsom salt, Dom? You gonna go take a bath with some Epsom salt? Girl, I wish Mack would just tell the truth. I wish Mack would just say, hey, I know you sniffed me out this episode now with these dogs things. I'm telling you how much I love my dogs, but my dogs have been back somewhere else for 6 months. I guess still in California, which is where he came. Remember, Mack went from Detroit to California, and now he's in Tennessee. I told you from the beginning, the only reason he is in Tennessee is for this Married at First Sight. That's why he came. That's why he doesn't have an apartment. That's why he didn't bring dogs. That's why he didn't get an apartment. Because what he said was, if I don't get chosen for the show, I don't want to be stuck with the lease. If my marriage doesn't work out with the person, I don't want to be stuck with the lease. If he just came clean, all his stuff would make sense. Everything. And actually, Dom might accept it. He could have said, hey, you know what? The only reason I'm back in Tennessee, because I wanted to be on Married at First Sight. I applied when I was in LA. They accepted me, so I had to rush back to Tennessee. I didn't have time to get an apartment, so I stayed with some friends. I didn't know if I would be selected for the final, so I didn't want to sign a lease. Plus, if my marriage worked out, I didn't want to be stuck in a lease like Chris and Nicole are, so I stayed in the apartment. But also, if my marriage didn't want to work out, I also didn't want to be stuck in a lease. I think if he came clean, this would all make sense to Dom. He could have said, and the reason why I even though my dogs are very important to me, I really wanted to be married, and I didn't want my dogs to keep me from having a marriage. So I left my dogs in California. He made a sacrifice, just like who's over there making another sacrifice with dogs? Nicole. I made a sacrifice because if it didn't work out, if I wasn't chosen, I was going to move right back to California. And the people I'm staying with said I could come, but I couldn't bring the two dogs. If he just was honest. But the problem with Mack is he isn't an honest person. Not because he is like a really bad person, but he isn't honest. I told you guys that from the beginning. He isn't honest. And you remember when your kids were young and you used to tell them, listen, tell me the truth, because the lie is going to be worse than the truth. If you don't tell me the truth, I'm going to be more upset, because whatever it is, we could deal with it. We could solve it. We could work through it. But if you lie to me, there's going to be a bigger problem. This is what old people would say to younger people, your kids, everyone else. And this is what Dom, the old 45-year-old woman, is saying to Mack. Tell the truth. She's not coming out and saying it, but she's saying, tell me the truth. This is why she's saying he has no roots. He could just pick up and leave. He can just go. Because what her old woman senses are telling her is there's a scam going on here. There's something that's not right about this guy. He's not stable. Something's going on. It's why when she went to that apartment, she goes, I don't have nothing to judge you from. She's trying to gather information about this guy, and there's no information to gather, and it's making her more and more and more nervous. I'm telling you, she's like a 45-year-old woman. And like I told you, I blame her mama. This is how her mother raised her, to be her best friend. And now she's raised a 25-year-old woman who acts like a 45-year-old with the mind and the senses and the skepticalness of a person older like me. And this isn't attractive when you're in a dating world and you're 25 years old. I could see how a young guy wouldn't want to date Dom. This is probably why she likes older people, because she does think old, and probably young people don't like her. It's the same reason when you meet men and they go, you know what, I don't really like to date older women. Why not? Because older women are jaded. That's Dom. Dom is jaded. She's 25 years old, but she moves and shakes out here in the world like she's a 40-year-old woman. And to add on top of that, she is rude, and she's a ball buster. This is why she talks to people as if they're her peers. Not only does she try to bust the balls of Mack in this episode, she tried to bust the balls of Pastor Cal. Did you see what she said to Pastor Cal when he walked in? You got some explaining to do. I wish a 20-year-old would walk up to, how old is Pastor Cal? Isn't he 60 years old? And you 25 years old talking to a 60-year-old talking about, you got some explaining to do. No, you better rephrase that question. I understand you upset. I understand there's some things you think that I might not have done, that maybe I dropped the ball on matching you. I got it. It's not even as if a Dom doesn't have some valid points. But you're not going to come to me, a 25-year-old, and tell me I got some explaining to do. No, I don't. I don't have to explain nothing to you. And not with that attitude, I don't. Absolutely not. I have some respect for some elders, and have some respect because he is a pastor. He is a Pastor Cal now. You can be a bit more respectful, Dom, but he isn't. She isn't. Just like she told Mack when they were sitting on the couch and talking, bro, can I talk? She is rude, cynical, and grumpy. I don't like it. Like I said, this goes further beyond the fact that Mack is a liar. This is just giving her something to chew on. But this is also who Dom is to her core. I know who Dom is. Dom is trying to blame everything on Mack. And let me tell you, it can't be all put on him. Yeah, he's a liar. Yeah, he's a liar, but it can't be all put on him. And y'all gotta watch my after party video, because let me tell you another thing a Dom tries to do. She tries to flip the script like old Gina did. Watch my after party video. I'm gonna put the link after this. But she has decided on this after party, she's going to come up with a whole new narrative and flip the script and talk about all the problem is Mack. You know, on that whole honeymoon, she complained about how Mack complained on the honeymoon. And now we look at Dom and we say she does more complaining than anybody else on this show. More complaining than anyone else on this show. And Pastor Cal tried to get her all the way together on this episode, because he was like, back up. When Mack came to that apartment of hers to look at her apartment, and she's like, do you want to walk around? Or why would I want to walk around? You didn't want to walk around my apartment. You had nothing but horrible things to say. But you think I want to come in your apartment and have a level of curiosity about this apartment? Or you? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're going to come into my apartment with a stank ass, a stank attitude, and then I'm going to come to your apartment, but you want me to be cheery and chippy and want to walk around this one bedroom apartment. I turned around in the circle. I saw everything I needed to see. I turned around in the circle and I saw everything I need to see. I don't need to see no more. And now she going to tell him he's the one with the attitude. Girl, you just had a whole attitude at his apartment. How is he the one with the attitude? I'm telling you, Dom is like Gina. She throws the first punches, but then she don't like the punch back. She throws the first punches, but she don't like the punch back. And now what she's having a problem with is Mack is punching back, and she don't like the punches she's now receiving. Too bad. Just like I said with Gina, too bad. You shouldn't have thrown the first punch. You shouldn't have been impatient. You shouldn't have been jaded at 25. You should have come in with a more open mind. And maybe you could have worked through some of these issues with Mack. But she's stuck in her ways. She is stuck in her ways. Mack was like, do you need some help packing up your stuff? She like, nope. She's like, nope. She got an attitude. But then she turns around and says, could you see yourself living here after the 8 weeks? Hell no. Why would I want to live here after the 8 weeks if we make it? This girl is something else. She walks around with a stank attitude, a bad attitude, and then asks me, would I ask somebody, do you want to live here after 8 weeks? Hell to the no. No, I don't. I don't want to live here after the 8 weeks. Absolutely not. I'm with Mack on this right now. She basically was trying to tell Mack that he's broke, and he said, I ain't broke. I do very well in the cannabis industry. But like I said, Mack exaggerates everything. I would need to see some bank statements on what he calls a not broke. Who knows? It may be broke in my eyes. It may not be broke in his. But he says it's not about money. It's not about money. I do very well. That's why I would say that if Mack was truly an honest person, he should just tell her the whole story, because actually the whole story could make some sense. He could really put a good spin on it. He could put a spin that I want to get married so bad. I want to have a family. I want to set down roots that I decided to move away from California to find a wife. But you know what? She's so stuck in her ways. She's also afraid that even if things did work out, he would want to move back to California where the real money is in cannabis. Because I don't even know if cannabis is legal in Tennessee. Tennessee people, is cannabis legal in Tennessee? So she might be sniffing out that, hey, is he going to want to move back to Tennessee or Michigan? Because I do think it's legal in Michigan, right? After this is over. And she said, I ain't leaving my mama. I'm not leaving my mama, because we're going to be two old people living up in the assisted living facility, the old people's home. And I don't want to get attached to no man who wants to leave Tennessee. She talks about how she's so adventurous. And Mack isn't adventurous. Well, let me tell you something. She may be adventurous because she likes to catch catfish, or she might like to go horseback riding. But she's not adventurous because he does have the entrepreneurial spirit. He does move around. He is willing to take risks. So when she starts saying he's safe, he doesn't take risks. You know what? He's actually taken probably more risks than she has. He's packed up himself. He's left Michigan. He hasn't followed the script of his family. He didn't go to college. He moved to California. He went into the cannabis industry, which is a risky business. He made the bold move to move from California to Tennessee just to be on this show. If he was really just honest and said, you know what, I'm actually more adventurous than you, he really could put her in her place. She really thinks she knows everything, but she don't know nothing. She hardly knows any. She got this little snippiness to her. Well, if you really love your dogs, why wouldn't your dogs be here? You haven't even been with them for 5 years. And he said, don't be talking about how I don't love my dogs. I do love my dogs. But once again, he can't tell the full story. And so he said, well, you never once asked their names or how they're doing. And you know what? She didn't even take that moment to say, you know what? You're right. What are their names? How are they doing? Who's keeping them? She went right over that to dig right back into him. I'm telling you, she is a grumpy old woman. Even when he prompted her and asked her, hey, why don't you ask about my dogs? She didn't even take the time to ask the question. She's awful. She's just awful. And now we find out that when she did leave and go back home and take that bath with some Epsom salt, she said she didn't even talk to him or see him for 3 days. And she finally came back when they had this meeting with Pastor Cal. As soon as Pastor Cal walked in the room, she said, you got some explaining to do. She talks in the after party that right before Pastor Cal came, Mack went on a rant talking about how he didn't really want to be married to her. I'm sure he did, because you've been going on a rant for 3 days about the same thing. But all of a sudden now it's Mack going on the rant and you got a problem with it when you've been doing it for a whole 3 or 4 days. Anyway, she says he went on a rant, but then when Pastor Cal came, he didn't have that same energy for Pastor Cal. You know why? Because he's actually a bit more respectful than you. But you know why? How she classified it on the after party? He tucked his tail between his legs when Pastor Cal came on. This is the way she talked about this man. He tucked his tail between her legs. You know, when we saw her at the marriage, and she had that ill-fitting dress on, and then she walked in these heels like she was climbing Mount Everest, and she was hiking up a mountain. I said, you know what? She has no charm, no grace, no tact, none of this. This girl, now we see it. She's a ball buster. She is a ball buster, and let me tell you, her mouth is rough. Her mouth is rough, and she's a ball buster. And not many people gonna want to be with Dom. They're really not. Now, women want to know how they get put in the F buddy status where all men want to do is sleep with you. I know why Dom is there, because Dom is pretty. Dom can get some man to look at her. Dom can get a man to take her out and sleep with her, but no man is going to want to keep Dom. Not at all. She wants to know why she attracts F buddies, because her attitude is an F girl status. Nobody want to stay with Dom in this bad attitude that she got, and she thinks so highly of herself. This mother of hers, or whoever must have filled her with so much great stuff about herself. She don't see nothing about herself. She don't see how her stuff stinks, and all she's good at doing is pointing out what's wrong with the other person. I'm telling you, she's like an old, grumpy 45-year-old woman. When she sat up here and said, I'd rather you live with 4 roommates than have a basement apartment. Why? At least there's no privacy. How is there privacy with 4 roommates? What is she talking about? Like I tell you, she talks and mimics the things of a 45-year-old person, but she doesn't have all the information of a 45-year-old. She sounds crazy. She sounds ridiculous. She's caught between 2 worlds. She's caught between a 45-year-old mother in her ear telling her stuff and a real 25-year-old, and that's why her stuff sounds crazy. I blame her mama. I blame her mama. Her mama was probably one of them mothers that let her daughter talk to adults like she was an adult. You remember them women, you know, them kids, you meet kids out and they talking to you like they're your age. I don't talk to no kids like that. You gonna give me some respect for my age. You're not gonna talk to me at 5 years old and 6 years old like I'm a 6-year-old. No, not at all. Give me some respect for my age. Maybe I'm old school, but you're not gonna come at me like I'm your age. And the way she came at Dr. Pat, the way she came at Pastor Cal, even if she does have some grievances, that's not the problem. I'm not of the age where you can't sort of express yourself and speak yourself, but you're going to come to me with a certain level of respect. And the way she came at Pastor Cal was 0 respect. And then when Mack showed some respect for not coming at Pastor Cal like that, she classified him as tucking his tail between his legs. Girl, get out of here. Mack was trying to defend himself. He was saying, you know what, I have more than, you talking about a roommate, 4 roommates. I live in a basement apartment with 2 bedrooms in the basement apartment. And she was like, oh, can you be quiet? Can you not talk over me? Bro, jeez Louise. Girl, I can imagine what she was like as a kid. She probably needed a spanking. She probably needed a spanking when she was a little kid, because let me tell you, she got a mouth on her. She has a mouth on her. I really do wish a Mack would just come clean with his story. I really do, because it really would explain a lot of the things going on in his life. And actually, it could be a really good story. And a lot of the things that are negative that you see about him could turn around and have a positive spin. But he doesn't want to tell the truth. He doesn't want to tell the truth. And right now, what's happening to him is that his lie is worse than his truth. His lie is worse than his truth. And now we're going to talk about old girl Gina and Clint. If Gina keeps lying to us one more time, if this girl keeps lying to us, I swear I'm gonna throw my shoe at the TV. Does Gina think we all dumb? Does she think we're dumb and also we can't hear? She thinks we're dumb and we can't hear and we can't see. I don't know what she's thinking about us. We remember when Gina first came on the show and she started telling us how she was a beauty mogul. She was the next Rihanna with Fenty. And then we find out that Gina only had one hair salon. And in fact, not only did she have one hair salon, she just now building her first brick and mortar. Then she tried to tell us, and then we also found out that she was a bartender for 13 years. So now we figured out that her money is new money. She act like she'd been doing the doggone thing for years on years, but she was a bartender for 13 years. Remember when she told us men are intimidated by her success? How many lies do we have to put up with Gina? But she didn't stop there, y'all. She didn't stop there. Then she started lying, saying Clint threw the first punch. And we're like, no, Gina, no, we didn't. You threw the first punch. You threw the first punch. And no matter what we saw, no matter what we heard, or no matter how much tape we got on her, she still claims that Clint threw the first punch. And we're like, no, he didn't. You threw the first punch. Lying again. And then she tried to lie to us and tell us she had a natural body. We were like, Gina, we see your lips. We see the liposuction. We see this is not your natural body. It may be a botched body, but it's not your natural body. This girl has been lying to us from the very beginning. And in this episode, she doubles down on the last and the biggest lie when she keeps telling us she's an athlete. Good Lord. Good Lord. How are you an athlete, Gina? Oh, I take HIIT classes every single day in the gym. First of all, Gina's not going to the gym every single day. That's a lie. That is a lie in and of itself. I don't believe it. If Gina is going to the gym every single day, she needs to try a new gym and she needs to get a new personal trainer, because let me tell you, this is not every day going to the gym. This is not every day going to the gym. I don't care. I'm not going to body shame her, but I'm also not going to be putting up with these lies. I'm not going to be putting up with these lies. I'm not going to shame her. I'm not going to body shame her, but I'm not going to be putting up with these lies, because right now Gina is insulting me and she's insulting my intelligence, and I'm tired of it. Then she sits on this TV today with Pastor Cal and tells Pastor Cal that living apart would be better than living together, because living together would tear us apart, but living apart would bring us together. Pastor Kyle was like, let's call bullshit on that. Let's just call it what it is. This is the beginning of you getting a divorce. Pastor Kyle was like, Gina, you're not going to lie to me. You're not going to sit here in my face in front of me and lie to me. Gina is a liar. I've been calling Mack a liar all this time. Gina is a liar. She's a big liar, and her lies are just as worse as Mack's. You can see right through them. She a mess. I don't know how she been getting by with these type of lies, because these lies are all unbelievable. Gina calling herself an athlete is like me calling myself a supermodel. Girl, where? It is ridiculous. But let me tell you, when she almost started crying, she started crying when Pastor Cal had to tell her about herself and say, you need this man sitting right here talking about Clint. He said, you need this man right here over here to teach you how to have some fun. And Gina started crying. You know why? Because somebody, once again, told her some truth about herself. Gina tries to act like she's adventurous and she's outgoing, but Pastor Cal knows she ain't. Pastor Cal knows that she needs Clint to teach her how to be outgoing and adventurous. But Gina tries to claim that not only is she outgoing and adventurous, but she also works 14 hours a day, 15 hours a day, and then goes to the gym every day. Girl, no, you don't. You're not doing all these things. She is a liar. She did not like it when Pastor Cal told her, you need this man to teach you how to have some fun. It was hard pill for her to swallow because she don't want to accept nothing, no responsibility for who she is, none of it. She want to blame a Clint for everything. And let me tell you, I have way more respect for Clint than I did in the beginning of this season because Clint is actually trying to do the work. He's actually trying to stick in there. And like I said, I really do believe that had Gina not gone in on him about being a redhead, ginger, whatever you want to say, you know what? I don't think he would have talked bad about her body. I don't think he would have brought up those things. I think he brought up those things in retaliation to get back at her and hurt her because he hurt him. Yeah, was it tit for tat? It was. And his blow was bigger. And come to find out, Gina got a redhead dog. After all that, Gina, you got a redhead dog? Girl, get out of here. She got a redhead dog named Hank. Gina a mess. Clint is over here trying to say he wants to work it out. He wants to live together. He wants to try, hey, we can sleep in separate bedrooms. She goes, oh no, sleeping in separate bedrooms is worse than living in different apartments. Where, Gina? On what planet? How is sleeping in separate bedrooms worse than sleeping in separate apartments? Girl, she playing us, y'all. She think we are dumb. She thinks we're deaf and she thinks we're blind. And she thinks she can tell us whatever she wants to tell us and we're going to believe it. She thinks she can tell us she got a natural body. We're going to believe it. She thinks she can tell us that she's an athlete and we'll believe it. She thinks she can tell us she's a beauty mogul and we'll believe it. She thinks she can tell us that she's outgoing and adventurous and we'll believe it. I don't know who she's been dealing with out here in the streets, but we ain't the one, people. We are not the one that Gina's going to be lying to. She even told another lie to Pastor Gal talking about at first I did like the way Clint looked and his hair and his beard. No, you didn't. Another lie. Another one. Another one. Another one. She keeps them rolling and she acts like we don't have no footage on her. She acts like we didn't hear what came out her mouth. I know Married at First Sight does a lot of editing, but I don't believe they're doing no voiceovers. Absolutely not, because we see them injection lips moving and we know what she's saying. She lying. She is lying. Gina said, yeah, well, you know, she's not a runner. She normally works hard at things. Another lie. Another lie. Because just last week she said she's a runner. This episode she said she's not one to give up. And then last week she told us that she was a runner. She can't even keep track of her own lies no more, people. I'm done with Gina. I'm really done with Gina. Kudos to Clint for trying to keep this train on the tracks, trying to do all he can to keep it together. But she ain't worth fighting for. Throw her away, throw her back in the ocean. And Clint go on and do something else. Like I said happened to Mitch last year. Mitch started off Mitch the Itch. But by the end of last season, I felt like Mitch had done some reflection, some introspection, and I felt I had high hopes for him later on in the dating world. Whereas I believe the opposite of Kirsten last year, I felt she had done no introspection and she was blaming Mitch for everything. This is the same thing going on here, that Clint definitely has some negatives, but I believe he's learning from the mistakes he's made, and I think he's going to be a better person going forward. I think he's going to work on some of those selfish and inconsiderate habits I saw early on with him. And I think he'll probably make a better mate to someone later on. But we got Gina over here stuck, not willing to look in the mirror, and still over here not only lying to us, but lying to herself. And once you in the lie mode, you ain't going to get better because you're too busy keeping up the lie. Throw her back. Throw her back. Now we're going to talk about Airris and Jasmin, and I'm starting to call Airris the robot because he ain't got no feeling in that body. I'm telling you guys, last week I told you that Airris made up his mind 40 years ago he wasn't going to love nobody else, and let me tell you, I am sticking to it. And every week I just look at him and I go, oh, I feel so sorry for Airris. I feel so sorry for Airris. He is like a robot. He is a man without any feelings. And like I told you last week, he decided he was never going to love nobody. He was never going to love anybody at all. And he was never going to get close. And here we have a continuation of that this week. Once again, he is talking about Jasmin and talking about how he loves her insides, but he doesn't like her outsides. It's not a person that he's normally attracted to. First of all, have you all noticed that when Airris talks about who he's normally attracted to, it's not real people, or I mean, they're real people, but they're not really people he's really ever been with. You ever notice that? Like when Gina and what's his name, Clint over there, were talking about their exes, they were real people they were actually with when they talked about what they like. When Chris and Nicole are telling their stories, they're talking about real people. They're talking about real people in their scenarios. But when Airris talks about people in terms of what his looks are like, he mentions celebrities, people you see in pictures or on TV. There's no real people that he ever made a connection with, because I'm telling you, Airris is a robot. I don't think Airris has really ever connected with any woman. Just like when he talks about in this episode, normally I'm on the balcony, I'm very sexual, and normally I'm on the balcony making an R&B video. Once again, an R&B, a video, a movie, a video. There's no emotional connection to it. It's transactional. He's very transactional. He has no heart in it. And he always talks about things in death. Every time I turn around, he's talking about if I die, if I get real sick and I die. Last week, he was talking about if I get real sick and die, you'll wipe my booty. And this week, he's talking about if he dies and his kids would be left in good hands with Jasmin. Why is he always talking about death? I'm telling you guys, this man is so stuck when he was 11 years old, when he was a little boy with his dead father, because everything he talks about things that require no soul. R&B videos, sex with movie stars and nameless people, nobody that you have to connect with. This is why I tell you, that is why he became not attracted to Jasmin. It has nothing to do with her physical looks. The problem that happened with Airris and Jasmin is that just what he said, I love her insides. And he has never fallen in love or even liked a woman's insides because he keeps a level of distance with women. It's transactional. It's an R&B video sex. It's a dead man in his obituary on his desk. He never had no relationship hardly with his daddy. He's got a relationship with a picture of his father since he was 11 years old, sitting on his table. I don't want anybody going down in my DMs this week or comments saying I shouldn't be talking about his father. I am not talking about this man's father. I am talking about the way Airris sees his father. And Airris has a relationship with an obituary, a picture, an image, a memory. There's no real relationship he had with his daddy. And this is how he's entering relationships with people. He doesn't really want any closeness. You know how he will fall in love with Jasmin? Jasmin, take a picture of yourself and put it on his nightstand, and then maybe he'll love you as much as he loved his daddy. Because Airris don't want to love a no one. I'm telling you, people, he views things about death, his soul leaving his body. He talks about he really likes the insides of Jasmin. He actually says some really wonderful and glowing things about Jasmin's insides, but he don't want to get close to her. So he doesn't want to have sex with her. He only wants to have emotionless sex, R&B video sex, like he's acting. And he wants to be in the R&B video with Lauren London and I don't know who else did he say, Serena Williams. This boy needs so much therapy, y'all. He needs inpatient therapy. He don't even need outpatient therapy. You know, some people need inpatient and outpatient therapy. No, he needs to check in to a hospital. You know who Airris is going to marry? I'm going to tell you right now. He's going to marry a woman where he's having R&B sex with the woman gets pregnant, and he's going to marry her because he doesn't want his kids to grow up without a father like he did. And then he's going to marry that woman, and he'll be in a loveless marriage probably for a long time, and he'll probably cheat on her with other women, but he will be in a loveless. That's who he's going to marry. Like I told you before, Airris is not a playboy. I do not believe Airris is a playboy. I believe Airris does not like making emotional connections with people because of the pain and trauma he experienced as a little boy. And now he idolizes his father from a necklace around his neck and an obituary. And this is the way he likes to have relationships with people. No connection. He's a robot. He is a robot. There is no heart inside. He is what? He ain't even the 10 men from the Wizard of Oz, because at least the 10 men in the Wizard of Oz had a heart. He said he didn't, but he had one. Airris is a robot. And I know a lot of people say he will make a good match with Kirsten. No, he won't, because you need to watch my video about Kirsten. Kirsten is empty. Let me tell you, Kirsten is empty. A lot of has emptiness on the inside of her too. And these two people do not make a good match, because even though they are both have this emptiness on the inside of them, they crave the attention, the everything from everyone else. This is why Airris sits around talking about feed me grapes, do this for me, or do that for me, or do this for me. Everything about what he talks about he loves is centered around someone doing something for him. Even when he gave that compliment to Jasmin, talking about, if I die and go away, I know my kids will be in good hands. Oh, once again, there is a Jasmin doing something for him, taking care of his kids. I'm telling you, the only time he has any sort of sprinkling of a warm feeling is when it's about somebody else doing something for him, period, or he's getting something from someone else. He is transactional. He is a robot. I know why he's a coder. I know why he went into coding and whatever he's in his job, because that's what he is. He is a computer program. He is a script. He is a SQL. He is a whatever all these program languages can be. That's who he is. And it's all based around his trauma as a child and losing his father. I am fully convinced of it. And he thinks so highly of himself. He thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's over here talking about, wow, she really likes me, Pastor Cal. She's really into me. Really into me. And I'm not into her that much. Oh, boy, you didn't need to say all that. He is his biggest hype man. He's always going around talking about what's so wonderful with him. But you know what's not so wonderful? You don't have a heart. You're incapable of loving somebody. Okay, so you can keep hyping up yourself all you want, Airris, but you are damaged. You are damaged a lot, and you need to recognize that so you can go get some help. He's damaged, but he always want to hype himself up, talking about like he's the best thing since sliced bread. Boy, no, you're not. Your program got some bugs in it. Since you speak a programming language, your program in your robotic body has got some glitches and some bugs in it, and they need to be worked out. And you need to go check yourself in to an in-house treatment program for some intensive therapy, because you have a lot of trauma from his childhood. He absolutely does. This non-attraction to Jasmin has nothing to do with her physical appearance. It doesn't mean, does he like everything about her? No, but this whole non-attraction to her has nothing to do. What it has to do with is I need to keep a level of distance from her, because this is how I love. I love through necklaces, obituaries, memories, distance, porn videos, R&B videos. I'm telling you, I know he's addicted to porn. I know, let me tell y'all, I'm pretty sure that he is addicted to porn, because this is another thing that people do who don't know how to make emotional attachments. They watch a lot of that stuff. And I guarantee you he's addicted to it. I guarantee you. This is why he's always talking about these sexual positions and what you want to do in bed. And then he tries to act it out in these R&B videos he's talking about. He's a robot. Ugh. And you know what? It's both frustrating and sad to watch at the same time. And at the end, he talks about, Pastor Cal and the experts gave me the woman I really needed, but he wanted to put on the rest, but it's not the woman that I want. He may need a Jasmin. That is true. He may need the type of a woman like a Jasmin, but Jasmin doesn't need him. This is an unfair position for Jasmin, because this is way too much work, way too much trauma to be trying to overcome. And Airris is not ready for a relationship. This is not the work that Jasmin needs to be doing with him. But is he right? Is he right that his best chance would have been with a woman like Jasmin, because she's really dedicated. She's really dedicated to, I think, just things she does, and probably this marriage. And if he had been a little bit more of a better person, they probably could have made it. But I don't believe a Jasmin should be with him. And you guys know me. I am the marriage advocate. I'm always talking about people need to stick with people. But in this particular situation, I don't see it, because I don't see any even improvement with Airris. I don't even see any shift towards improvement. I don't even see any road to improvement. I just see a robot. And I don't feel like this is the work that Jasmin needs to be doing with this man. I don't think she needs to waste her time, her energy. to do any of this work with him. He needs to go off, do this work, and get some professional help. He is not going to be able to solve these problems on his own. I'm telling you, he needs really some intense professional help, y'all. Intense professional help. When he was looking at those little golden doodles and he picked up the little run of the litter, Jasmin was like, this is the run of the litter. Let here, hold this one. I was like, what you trying to say, Jasmin? He the run of the litter too? Probably. He probably is the run of the litter. But anyway, he picked up that run of the litter talking about, ooh, I probably could take this dog home and put him in my bed. That's what he needs to get. He probably needs to learn how to attach to something besides a porn video, an R&B video, or a women's pictures in magazines. He probably does need to get a dog. And so he can start learning how to attach to at least something that is real. The truth of the matter is he should be happy now that Jasmin's got 9 dogs, because then maybe he could learn how to attach to something. I don't know, all you a PhD psychologists, social workers, what's this called? Is this called attachment disorder? It's something, y'all. I know it's a clinical name for it. I don't know what it is, but I know it's a clinical name for it. So now we're going to move on to Chris and Nicole. And guess what, y'all? We got a couple that has consummated the marriage, and they over here are humping. They over here humping, doing the hump. Isn't that the song? I'm old. They over here are doing the humping like that dog was humping that couch. I told you guys that these dogs had some behavioral issue, and these dogs over here are humping the couch, jumping all over people, jumping on the counter, jumping on the beds. They out of control. These dogs are out of control, but they cute though. I was really happy that the dogs got along well. And all the dogs got along. I thought they introduced the dogs well out in the public. It looks like the dogs are used to going to dog parks. Neither of the dogs had any aggression issues. Charlie for Nicole. And let me tell you, they say you and your dog start to share the same personality. Well, I could see how Chris and his dogs kind of have the same personality. Because the dogs really are kind of loving dogs. They really are loving dogs. You could tell that. So it looks like they're all going to get along well. I was a little nervous. I didn't want any repeat like last year with the whole Maya and Justin and Alexis thing. And so I was happy it didn't go that way. But ooh, that bed of Chris's was a nasty. I mean, if you had a problem with dogs being on the bed and dog hair on the bed, and now you see the dog humping the pillow that you're going to put your head on at night. Oh my God. So you got to have your head down in the pillow at night and smelling the cooch of a dog. That's nasty. That's so nasty, y'all. That is a nasty. Nicole says, so since I got to get Charlie over at my apartment, even though I'm going to go see him every day, you're going to have to give me some extra cuddles and extra attention. He said, absolutely, I'll give you some extra cuddles and extra attention. Like I said, I think they're going to work it out. Just sneak Charlie into the apartment, Nicole. Just sneak him in the apartment. Them landlords ain't going to find out. And by the time they find out, you're going to be moving out anyway. What they going to do? Bring the dog anyway. By the time that landlord figure out you got 3 dogs up in there, y'all gonna be moving out anyway. And this is coming from a landlord. This is coming from a landlord. They ain't gonna find out. Ain't nobody knocking on your door every day doing a dog count every minute of the day. I know Nicole stepped in and solved the problem with the 3 dogs thing, but now they had another problem with these leases. And what they're going to do with the fact that both their leases is up at the same time. And once again, I think Chris came up with a lousy ass plan. He sure don't know how to come up with no ideas. I think Nicole going to have to step in again and come up with a better plan. Because this whole idea that we're going to go off and sign a 9-month leases. 9-month leases. Why can't you just do a month to month? I don't understand. Sure, first of all, I'm kind of with Pastor Cal, to be honest with you. Go out on a ledge, go full force, okay? But let me tell you, if you're not that bold, you don't want to go full force. You want to play it a little safe. Maybe Chris is afraid. He wants to play a little safe. Okay, then how about a month to month? Sure, the landlord might charge you an extra $100 a month on the lease for month to month. But why go sign a 9-month lease, like he said, and visit each other's apartments? Nicole, don't do that. Don't do that, Nicole. You better step in and solve this problem just like you had to do the last time. Chris ain't no good problem solver. His ideas are lousy, y'all. Are lousy. But at least he didn't cry. At least he didn't cry. But his plan is just as lousy as his other plan was. Nicole gonna have to come up with all the ideas. We seeing it right now. Nicole is gonna have to come with all the ideas because something about Chris. His ideas ain't good. His ideas are not good at all. I think it's because maybe he's such a rules follower. He's like, they can't have 3 dogs. I can't bring my dogs. I'm like, sink that dog in. They gonna find out. By the time they find out, you know, you'll be gone. And you go, okay, I'll get rid of it and just bring it back the next day. He's too much of a rules follower. Talking about after that, we need to sign a 9-month lease. No, sign a month to month. Why do you have to sign a 9-month lease? Sign a month to month. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Or if they won't allow you to sign a month to month, move into a short-term apartment, rent an Airbnb for the month, rent an Airbnb house for a whole entire month. There's so many options than to sign a 9-month lease. Nicole, can you come up with some options? Can you guys go rent an Airbnb house for a month or two and not sign this a 9-month lease? And then if somehow you guys break up in the Airbnb house, you can go your own separate ways. This is ridiculous. A 9-month lease. Boy, get out of here. But I know the one thing Nicole ain't gonna listen to nobody on when Pastor Cal says, I don't think you should be checking in every day asking somebody, do you love me? Do you love me? That's one thing she ain't listening to. She goes, I hear you, but I ain't gonna do it. Let me tell you, Nicole is strong-headed. So eventually some of this is gonna come out. She said we saw a little bit of it when she was complaining and showing that picture on the camera, talking about, why did you pick this picture for our wedding picture? This picture is ugly. It is a bad picture, Nicole. Yeah, her eyes look like raccoon eyes. I know she was mad, but she took it. Shoot. She took the picture. She took the picture, but she sure is mad. So Nicole, just take some new wedding pictures. Go put your dress back on. Go, he can put his tux back on. Go have some pictures taken later on somewhere else. And hey, substitute them and y'all will be fine. If you don't want that picture for the rest of your marriage, go take some new ones. These things are all solvable. These two get all riled up over these little simple problems, crying over it because you can't have 3 dogs and now go sign a 9-month lease on an apartment. This is ridiculous. They need to come up with some better ideas. Go get an Airbnb, please, or do a month to month. But Nicole said, I'm going to ask every day, will you say yes? Every day she said she's going to do a temperature check-in. I don't care what you people say. And this is for the after party, y'all. This is the after party. And on the after party, there was Kirsten, Dom, and Clint. And let me tell you, y'all, Dom came on the after party flipping the entire script on us. The entire script. Y'all need to watch my video on Dom. I'm going to leave the link or whatever above my head at the end of this video. You guys can watch it. But Dom came on here trying to pull a Gina. Remember when Gina tried to make us believe that Clint threw the first shot and it was Clint who talked about her looks first. And so she was all offended by it. And then she couldn't take the punch that Clint threw back at her because she was really the one who threw the first punch. This is the same thing going on with Dom now. Dom is sitting up here in the after party acting as if it was Mack who first started expressing a disappointment and disagreement and upsetness about being in the marriage or her being chosen as his wife. Dom sat up here and tried to tell us, well, if a person doesn't really want to be in the marriage and doesn't really want to be here, what am I supposed to do? Girl, you started it. You've been complaining since the honeymoon, and it wasn't Mack that was doing the complaining. You were doing the complaining. And now that he's fed up with her complaining, she's now telling us, well, what else am I supposed to do? And she's all offended and sad over here or with a bad attitude. I talk about Dom in my video. I call her an old woman. And now I see why they called her old soul, because she is old. She's grumpy. She's impatient. She's jaded, and she's stuck in her ways. And those are all stereotypes of a lot of old people. And let me tell you, that is Dom. She sat on this after party with a nasty attitude as well. Anytime they want to talk about a scene of her, she was like, girl, what you think is about to go on here? Why are you coming here with this bad attitude to the after party? She not only had a stank attitude in her marriage, she had a stank attitude on this after party. I didn't like it. I didn't like it a one bit. Keisha asked her, what are you guys all feeling at this point in time? And Dom talking about, I'm trying to stay optimistic. Girl, you're not trying to stay optimistic. You about as pessimistic as they come. You ain't looking for no good in no one and no good in any situation. You guys really need to watch my video on Dom and Mack, because I start talking about the lies that Mack is telling. He really should just tell the truth about how he really just came to Tennessee for this show. But I don't want to go into it again here on this after party video. But please check out my video on that. Every time Keisha or anybody else tries to pin Dom down and try to tell her about herself, she throws it right back on Mack and says, oh, it's because of him. He did it first. Oh, no, he didn't do it first. All this criticizing the apartment, just like the apartment scene. She gets all mad because he didn't want to come to her apartment and wasn't enthusiastic about her apartment, I should say, because she had a stank attitude when he went to hers. But she blames it and throws it on him. I'm telling you, she's pulling a Gina. She's pointing the finger this way, saying he did it first. And she threw the first punch, and she can't handle the get back. Even Kirsten, the empty box Kirsten, is over here trying to tell her, I think you're trying to analyze stuff too much and you're not giving him a chance. It is something how we can see other people's stuff when we can't see our own. But Kirsten was right. Kirsten was right. You are being too critical. You're not giving him a chance. And you're not giving him a chance to explain all these lies he's been telling you. Because like I tell you guys, he has been lying this whole season. He's been lying. He really just need to come clean with Dom and tell her, I moved here for this show. That's why I live in this apartment. That's why my dogs aren't with me. That's why my stuff is in storage. All of it. Just tell the truth, Mack. Just tell the truth. But like I said, Dom is still with a bad attitude and trying to pretend like it was Mack who came here with the bad attitude, and that's not correct. It's her who came. It's she who came with the bad attitude. It's she. Dom is over here talking about he don't have no assets. His stuff is in boxes. He could just leave at any given time. Like I told you last week, that's what she's really afraid of. This is why she's got all this digging in kind of stuff, because she is sniffing out and she's afraid of, is he really here to be here? And instead of attacking it head on, asking the questions, having the deep conversations, she nitpicks at him. She nags him. She's like a grumpy old woman who's jaded, stuck in her ways, not open to any kind of thinking. And this is what is also making things worse. And she's rude. At one point in time, she starts telling the story saying, well, the parts you guys didn't see about what Mack was doing was before Pastor Cal got there. He went on this 5-7 minute rant talking about, how did they match us together? This is not what I wanted in a wife. He was going on and on and on. Got it, Dom. But I don't understand how that's different than what you was talking about all during the honeymoon. She acts like it's new conversation. This is the conversation she's been having all honeymoon, and it was on camera. We saw it with our own eyes. She like Gina. She act like we don't see what we see. We don't hear what we hear. She complained the whole honeymoon. And now she's saying, well, Mack was complaining before Pastor Cal, but then when Pastor Cal got there, he didn't want to say none of it to his face, and he stuck his tail between his legs. Ugh, that's the way you talk to people, talking about, bro, can I talk? He stuck his tail between his legs. I'm telling you, Dom is a rough. She is a balls buster. And somehow or another, she thinks she's better than Mack, as if she handles these situations way better than him. And it's not true. She really doesn't. And the way she was approaching Pastor Cal, I talk about that in my video too. I thought she was out of order with her rudeness. Maybe Mack is a little bit more respectful of people, especially elders, especially a pastor, and he isn't going to come at Pastor Cal talking about, oh, you got some explaining to do. Maybe tucking his tail between his legs isn't some form of cowardness. Maybe it's a form of being respectful. Something that she doesn't have, because she is disrespectful. But like I said in my video, I blame her mama. I blame her mama for this nasty attitude she got. I blame her mama. So this is what Dom starts talking about. He's Jekyll and Hyde, that Mack is Jekyll and Hyde. Why he's Jekyll and Hyde? Because he told you he was upset about them matching you with him. The same stuff you've been saying all week long in Jamaica. But then he doesn't really say it to Pastor Cal's face. That's not Jekyll and Hyde. That's not what that is. That's trying to be respectful. That's trying to still be positive about the situation, even though I see some things I don't like. That's called trying not to be a rude. When she said she was fed up and she was over it and she was talking about she was gonna go home and take a bath, I was like, a bath in what? Some Epsom salt with your old thinking mind. Even Pastor Cal was said, done with what? Done with what? You done with the process, you done with the marriage, and you done with what? Even Pastor Cal had to snap back at her because what he realized was he's got a immature, nasty, a rude, a woman, little child is sitting in front of him, and he was like, you done with what? What you done with? They showed the clip when Pastor Cal told her, you know what, you look like you poised for battle. You poised for battle. She was ready to buck up. I told you. We saw she couldn't walk in them heels. We saw that it looked like she never wore a dress. I'm telling you, she's rude. She likes to buck up, and she rough. Dom is a rough. She really tried to tell everybody on this after party that she is reacting to all the energy of Mack. I'm telling you, she pulled a Gina. She said she is reacting to all the negative energy of Mack, when we all know it was her who was sitting on those confessionals all Jamaican time complaining about him. And now she's trying to say that the reason why she doesn't want to be in the marriage is because Mack was the one that didn't want to be in the marriage. Just like Gina over here trying to tell us she's an athlete and she thinks we believe this. And now she wants us to believe this story about her and Mack. I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit. She said, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to react with someone who doesn't want to be in the marriage? Well, if he don't want to be in the marriage, he don't want to be with it in now because of your stank attitude, the way he was acting. So he may not want to be in the marriage anymore. That's true. But he didn't start it. You started it, Gina. Gina/Dom. You started it. Keisha asked her at the end, so what are you relying upon now to get you through the rest of the marriage or whatever? She said, I'm relying on God and hope. Girl. She said she relied on her faith and in God. I don't believe that either. This season is full of so many liars, y'all. I can't keep the lies straight. Dom now wants us to believe that she's relying on God and faith, and she just chewed out a pastor. Girl, get out of here. Get out of here. When they started talking about Clint on this episode, Keisha kind of redeemed herself. Last week, I was like, I don't know, Keisha, you going a little bit too hard on Clint. This week, she redeemed herself somewhat. I think Keisha was triggered by that body thing. She was triggered. And maybe it was the pregnancy hormones. But this week she redeemed herself, and she even told Clint, you know what? I'm on your side, Clint, this time. I am on your side, because who can't help but to be on Clint's side? Because Clint is the only one trying to work at this marriage. And Gina ain't trying to work. Gina is too busy over here lying to us and telling us a different lie every episode. In this episode, she lied to us and told us she was an athlete because she takes HIIT classes at the gym. There's two lies. That's probably two lies in one. First of all, she ain't an athlete. And second of all, Gina is not taking HIIT classes every single day at a gym. I'm telling you, she's not. She lying about that too. I'm tired of Gina lying in my face. She must think I'm dumb. I am not dumb, Gina. I am not dumb. I don't believe none of these stories. Just like I didn't believe the natural body story. Just like I didn't believe that you was a beauty mogul. Just like I don't believe that men are intimidated by your success. That's how I don't believe that you're an athlete. Girl, I am not dumb. But you know what? Clint was redeeming himself. You know what? I'm liking Clint more and more and more and more. I'm telling you, Clint is starting to be like how I was actually with Mitch last year, that they really started off bad. But I think that there are a type of people where they can maybe learn from this time on Married at First Sight. And what Clint was talking about was, he was like, you know what? He likes to cook. He likes to do things for people. He's adventurous. He likes to do all these types of different things. And he was like, he wants to keep trying. He doesn't want to give up. And I really admire Clint for that. He says he likes to show love through acts of service. And he's trying to actually do all these things, have a fresh start, have a clean start. But Gina, that blow about her body, it was just too much. She can't recover from it. She can't recover from it, because the truth of the matter is, although Gina likes to talk all this tough stuff about herself, give herself all these compliments, on the inside, Gina doesn't feel like any of these things. She uses a lot of material things and outside things to make her feel a certain kind of way about her inside. And when Clint said that thing about her body, I'm telling you, it shook her to her core. It shook her to her core, because that's really the way Gina really, really feels about herself. Even though she says she doesn't feel that way, that is really the way she feels about herself. She can't recover. She can't recover one bit from this. But Clint said he wasn't buying it. He said, if we are brave enough to be married at first sight, we should be brave enough to live in an apartment together to see this thing out. And I agree with him 100%. I agree with Pastor Cal that Gina's over here lying about why she doesn't want to live together, talking about living together will make it worse. No, it won't. No, it won't. Just like Pastor Cal said, this is just one step closer to you getting divorced. Gina has already made up her mind that she's going to say no to Clint already. But Keisha tried to come at Clint a little bit and talking about, I'm surprised you live downtown since you like the water so much. I'm surprised that you don't live on the water or something. He said, no, I got 2 yachts. I got 2 boats that I keep at the yacht club. Let me say it. He goes, I got 2 boats I keep at the yacht club. Clint's like, don't get it twisted, Keisha. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, I stay in an apartment, but I have 2 boats down at the yacht club. He says, I'm not the liar. Gina's a liar. I'm not lying about what I like to do and who I am, but Gina is. Gina's a liar. Clint said his stuff is real. He said, I used to have a house on the river in Florida, but when I moved here, I docked my boats at the river, or not the river, at the dock or whatever. I got 2 boats down there. He is real about his stuff, where opposed to Gina making up stuff and wanting us to believe it. Gina's the problem. Gina is the problem. And what does Clint say when he's trying to, when Keisha said, what's keeping you in this? And Clint said, I'm leaning on the trust of the experts. I haven't done such a good job myself before now. But I'm trying to lean on the experts to see this thing out, because we obviously were matched for a reason. And I'm trying to see the reason. And so I'm leaning on their trust. That's what's keeping me in it. I know. Good answer, Clint. Good answer. Even though I know this was a bad match from the beginning, but a good answer. And then Keisha went in on Kirsten a little bit and asked her, how you gonna have 75 pillows with nothing in that apartment? And then Kirsten told some story about, she moved in the apartment in 2021 and she had ordered some furniture, but the supply chain was all backed up and it was going to take 6 to 8 months to get some furniture. So she just canceled the orders. I got it. But then why couldn't you go down somewhere else and just buy some furniture? It don't make no sense, because it's all an excuse. Watch my video on her too when I tell you that apartment and that closet is a metaphor for Kirsten's real life. And that is empty in the living room, empty on the outside. But then you walk into that closet, it's all a chaos. I'm telling you, pretty package on the outside, nice and clean and pristine. But then you walk in the closet and then you see the chaos. That's Kirsten. I'm telling you, that is what she is. Empty apartment, empty conversation. It is her to a T. But Kirsten is talking a lot on the after parties when she comes on. I'm telling you, watch my video on Kirsten and Shaq, because I'm changing my vote on them. I'm actually believing that Kirsten and Shaq are going to make it. I think that Kirsten is eventually going to come around, because I'm telling you, once Shaq gets out into the world, or people get into Kirsten's ear and they start talking about you a fool, girl, to let him go, he's a good catch, she's going to double back on Shaq. And I don't think Shaq is going to give up on her. I think she is his dream girl. I think he's going to keep trying, and I think she's eventually going to come around. I told you guys from the very beginning that all this pickiness with Kirsten is to cover up insecurities on the inside, and she uses her pickiness as a shield, as a guard. Just like that apartment is pristine on the outside and chaotic on the inside, that is Kirsten. It's all a shield. It's almost like the waiting room. Okay, her living room is the waiting room, and her closet is her life, and she has you sit in the waiting room until she's ready to invite you into her closet where all the mess is. I'm telling you, but I think that Shaq is going to patiently sit in that waiting room for hours on hours, waiting to get into that closet of Kirsten's, because I think she's his dream girl. Absent of this no chemistry thing, I think everything else about Kirsten is Shaq's dream girl, and he is not going to leave that waiting room that soon. I think he's going to wait on her, and because of that, I think she's going to eventually come around and she's going to end up being with Shaq. This is what I believe. I could be wrong. I'm not going to say it's going to happen during this 8-week process. She very well could say no. She could say no. She could go back to her apartment and live in separate places. But I could see them continuing to date, and I could see her eventually coming around. I really can see it. Because I'm telling you, just like I talk about with Airris, he's got issues with his father being dead. These issues with Kirsten has to do with that daddy, that absentee daddy. I'm telling you, it's got some things to go on. She's too guarded. She's too safe. She's putting people in waiting rooms before they can come and see her closet. And I'm telling you, she needs some time. I think eventually Kirsten will come around, because I see another part of Kirsten. She has no conversation now. She doesn't want Shaq to go into the closet. She doesn't want Shaq to talk. She doesn't want him to tell jokes. She doesn't want him to be serious because she wants to hide in that closet of hers. Okay. But eventually she's going to come out. She's going to come out, but I think it's going to take a long time. And in this after party where it's filmed months and months and months later, I actually see her coming out of the closet a little bit, even on these after parties. And that tells me that she might be a bit capable of it and tells me she might need some time. I don't know. I could see them getting together, y'all. I really could see them getting together. But watch my full video on Kirsten and Shaq, and I go into it a little bit more. But in the end, Keisha Knott also asked Kirsten, like, what's keeping you in it? And she kind of talked about the same thing like Clint did, was believing in what the experts did, finding out the reasons why we were matched, hanging in there. And if you notice about Kirsten, as much as she says she's not attracted to Shaq, she's not doing the Dom. She's not doing the Gina, trying to live in separate places, trying to run away. She's complaining, but she's sticking to him. She's complaining, but she's sticking to him. That's a different type of movement. And then what she says on here, she says, every day, I think we need to give each other a chance and give him a chance to be the leader. And I think what Kirsten is talking about when she talks about being a leader, she's talking about leading in the area of emotions, because Kirsten protects her emotions. So what she's talking about with Shaq and being a leader, she wants Shaq to lead in the area of emotions, which means she wants Shaq to step out there on the area of emotions. Talk about how much he loves her, how much he cares for her, how much this. She needs to hear that, because what she's saying is, I want him to be a leader in that area, because she's scared. Like I said, she's trapped in the closet. What's the R. Kelly song, Trapped in the Closet? Kirsten is trapped in the closet with her emotions, and she is waiting for Shaq to take all the risk out there so she can feel safe to walk on that ledge, because she is trapped in the closet.